The Buddha in various sutras, various discourses, has talked about using the family relationship as a kind of training ground for the developing the universal compassion, which is at the heart of the Mahayana Buddhism, the universal compassion of the Bodhisattva, the being who journeys to enlightenment in order to awaken his or her capacity for compassion and wisdom to show others the way to liberation. In some of those discourses, the Buddha takes the specific relationship between the mother and child as the characteristic place to start, because that's a relationship usually characterized by the mother stepping aside from her self-preoccupations and self-clinging, self-cherishing, which kind of, it's so common to us sentient beings, in order to create a space in her life to cherish the child, in a way to put the child before herself. And that's taken, therefore, as the place where we, as the child of parents, acknowledge a kind of an unpayable debt of gratitude that we have to our parents. And so that says something about what it is like to really be a parent. It is a challenge to us to step out of kind of self-preoccupation, to really truly put another person's interests and well-being and welfare before our own. So right away that says that Buddhists don't bring up children in order to make little kind of copies of themselves, or to fulfill, or should not make their children kind of the repository of their own unfulfilled ambitions, or a kind of mini-me version of themselves, but from the get-go see that person as a unique individual, unique human being, whom nevertheless one has been kind of, in a way, temporarily given responsibility to look after, to nurture, to safeguard, and to send off into the world with the capacity to do good for others. So what I'm trying to get at is that to be a parent is itself a kind of moral and spiritual adventure, moral and spiritual enterprise from the beginning, and one that's entirely consistent with the ideals, with the ethical teaching and imperative of Mahayana Dharma, of Mahayana Buddhism. So that's, if you like, the kind of setting for it, the kind of, the ethical and emotional setting. But then when one comes to it, of course, in any interaction with others, so including parents with children, it's rough and ready and moving and changing continuously. We ourselves are kind of people with turbulent minds, because we're not Buddhists. Children are beings with turbulent minds. They come with a whole bunch of karma as well. So there's going to be all kinds of challenges and provocations that come along in that kind of those years that we have that precious responsibility to look after this other person. And so I think it's very important that we try to keep, although we're flexible in our way of relating to the child or children, we have to be. We can't have everything working according to a kind of rigid program or a rigid set of ideals. Nevertheless, one eye at least has a kind of the eye on the greater kind of outcomes, that you hope to send this person off into the world with the kind of capacity to live a happy life and to live a life that fulfills the happiness of others. In short, there's always a moral and ethical outcome that you're hoping for in your way of relating with your child. Yet at the same time, for that child to grow up with that capacity to be happy and to fulfill the happiness of others, they must have a sense of independence, a sense of freedom, a sense of capacity, a sense of power to choose. And that's why too rigid too programmatic a set of precepts in your kind of handling of your children, your parenting of your children is no good. So have this combination of gentleness and flexibility, which respects the integrity and independence and difference of each child. Because even if you have 4 children, each one is quite unique, quite different, with their own karmic streams, but at the same time has this eye on the greater good. So it keeps you grounded in the moral precepts of Dharma as your source of where to draw from to bring up your child. And so I think it's something like that. It's this combination of being grounded in something that's in a way timeless and it should recur again and again throughout human lives, but which we draw from the teachings of the Buddha, and yet it's flexible and up to the moment with the kind of ever-changing environment which you, your children, and the world finds itself. So it's like, as they say, times change, but values don't. I think that was some kind of newspaper advertising some years ago. But it's a good one because it's kind of, it speaks to how we should bring up our children. As many kind of, even stepping outside of Dharma, one might say that there's much human wisdom that's been passed through the generations about how to bring up children in the best possible way. And it's there in our cultural traditions, and the best of them, at least, it's there and present. And so we can draw on that. It might even be there in Anne of Green Gables, by the way, for you Canadians. It's something there about child rearing, which we could, I think, benefit from. So that's the point. You are both the protector of your child. So you want to protect them from harm, from learning harmful things, from getting into harmful habits. Yet at the same time, you're not the jailer of your child. You must give them the freedom and space to kind of discover some things for themselves. And then, they'll be strong and happy children, and then strong and happy and positively effective adults out of that. And little by little, as they kind of change, as they evolve as children, you can introduce them, if you wish to the basic Dharma teachings. A good place to start with that is simply in the stories of Buddha, often those rather kind of beautiful stories of Buddha in previous lives, when he compassionately acts with wisdom and patience, even in the guise of an animal. He shows these wonderful virtuous behaviors. They're tremendously inspiring and moving for children to read, to hear about. And then little by little, some of the basic Dharma actions, like making prostrations and offerings around shrines, learning a few simple prayers like the refuges and so on, and then the full limitless, loving kindness, compassion, etc., etc. These are the kind of gentle but powerful and changing kind of teachings from the Dharma you can gradually introduce your children too, if you're both Buddhist parents, or if you agree on this, and you can do that. But I would say it's very important for them to have a sense of joy and happiness and pleasure around Dharma. If they've been introduced to Dharma, try as much as you can to show them how it's for happiness and freedom that one practices the Dharma. So that they'll grow up in a way devout and serious Dharma people, but not ever feeling that they're kind of being repressed or imprisoned by it. Then you'll have children who grow up to be good Buddhist adults, and therefore good adults for the world. That's what I think. So I hope that's something. I mean, there's just so many billion things you can say about the question of bringing up children. So I wanted to talk in this kind of rather impressionistic way, really in a way to kind of, in a way, suggest more about the mood in which we bring up children, rather than specific do's and don'ts. Do's and don'ts: be kind, forgive others, forgive yourself, carry on, keep on keeping on.